Hey, how y'all doing? So let's talk about this demographic shit. So AEW has gone full Donald Trump. Now let me explain what I mean by they've gone full Donald Trump. AEW, well, how Donald Trump became president of the United States is because he won the Electoral College. He did not win the popular vote. For people who do not live in the United States, allow me to explain. Each state, which there are 50 states in the United States, each state has a special elector. Special electors decide who the president is by giving the states electoral votes, of which is like a numerical value. You could think of it like a point system. If you get 270 points, you win and you become the president, regardless of whether you won the popular vote. Now, Hillary Clinton won the popular vote because she won all the big cities. Big cities usually are blue, they vote Democrat. So if you won Philadelphia, you won most of the votes in Pennsylvania because it's the most populous city in Pennsylvania. If you win Chicago, then you won pretty much won Illinois because it's the most populous city in Illinois. So that's typically how Democrats try to rig the elections. They have big Democrat cities and then they try to manipulate. They try to win the city. They don't care about the countryside. They win the city. Hey, I have more votes. I win. Okay. Now, doesn't work that way. So if you translate that here, NXT has more viewers 3 weeks in a row over AEW, but AEW contends to win in the demographics. So they say, oh, well, we don't care about viewership. We only care about demographics. Okay? We only care about the demos. 18 to 49, that's all that matters. So while that's true, it is true that advertising for television is keyed upon the 18 to 49 demographic. That is a fact. So, and technically, they are correct. If you win your demographics, you win. Now, but this is really just a deflection, isn't it? Because when they can say, "Well, we won the demographics," it means that they don't have to deal with the fact that they've lost 300 to 400,000 viewers since day one of their program, and they can't explain why. They've introduced all of these guys, Brody Lee and Lance Archer and John Moxley, and they got Kenny Omega on just about every week, and Jericho's on just about every week. None of these people seem to make a difference in, in drawing more viewers. If anything, the overall viewership for both NXT and AEW goes down. But AEW ends up doing well in the demographics, so they can just say, well, we won the demos, doesn't matter. Okay? But let's talk about that for a minute. Why can't we discuss where all their viewers went? We're not allowed to have that conversation. Shield Media, Voices of Wrestling, Alvarez, Meltzer, they only talk about demographics when WWE is doing well. Like when SmackDown has decent ratings or something like that, they'll talk about how well the viewership is over the age of 50. That's no good. And TV networks don't care about that. Even though they gave Fox gave WWE $1 billion for SmackDown, Meltzer will continue to tell you that doesn't matter. Or they'll tell you that SmackDown has 2 million viewers, not what the demographics were. That they need to rethink their deal with WWE because they're not getting the number of viewers. I mean, you see this stuff all the time, right? If Raw, like when Raw had bad ratings a couple weeks ago, all they kept talking about was the ship is sinking, worst viewership of all time, even worse than 1995, even worse than 1997. It's the worst. They didn't talk about the demographics. They didn't talk about it at all. Didn't matter what the demographics were. I can't imagine. And then you got Tony Khan and Chris Jericho, two people who should definitely require more respect than like Tony Khan is the boss. Why is he on Twitter bitching and acting like this? I couldn't imagine any promoter other than Eric Bischoff, maybe in 1996, acting like this. Okay? And Bischoff didn't even own WCW. But I couldn't imagine anybody else acting like this. I couldn't imagine Dixie Carter going on Twitter acting like this. Nobody did. Nobody before them or after them did this. Why are you selling? Like, why are you so gotten to? Like, NXT is driving AEW up the wall. From Cody wearing a Great American Bash themed t-shirt to Jericho going on Twitter bitching about the demographics, to now Tony Khan's on talking about demographics. This is bullshit. You know, like I don't want them to stop acting like pussies. And this is the weird thing. Tony Khan going to say, my favorite thing about some of the frequent repliers to my tweets is how the 18 to 49 demographic is these people's best friend on Mondays and Fridays, and then they act like they never heard of it on Wednesdays. Bullshit, Tony Khan. Nobody talks about that shit at all except Meltzer and Alvarez. Nobody cares. The business, like we're looking at the viewership, okay? We're not looking at the demographics. We don't care. Now, people don't get into the weeds that much about it. Now, here's the thing about demographics. Your demographics are going to follow where your show is aimed at, right? If you look at what was number one in the demographics in both charts that Jericho posted on July the 1st and what Tony Khan posted for July the 8th, both of them was MTV. Whatever stupid challenge show is on MTV got number one in the demographics. Why? Because MTV, since its inception, has been aimed at teenagers. Okay? And it continues to dominate in those demographics. Okay? WWE is a PG product. Now, PG is not aimed at the 18 to 49 demographic. Why would it be? You think that adults need parental guidance? That doesn't make any sense. That's just intuitive. I don't even need to do any fucking research for that. All three WWE products are PG. Okay, all three of them. Why would you think that they're aimed at the same demographic? Why would you think that? Now, the 50 plus demo, which is sort of the WWE demographic, it stands to reason that people who are older are controlling the TV for people who are younger. You know, and it's kind of weird how demographics work. Anyway, like Chris Jericho is 49. Does it mean he stops mattering once he turns 50? All of a sudden, oh, well, you're outside the demo, you don't matter anymore. That's kind of crazy that you have an extra birthday and all of a sudden what you watch on TV is not important anymore. Like, how crazy is that? And look, and we also know that Nielsen is not even the most accurate thing. And we also know, if you've been following this channel, that cord cutting has been a thing and it's been ramping up due to the pandemic. You know, for the last 4 or 5 years, millions and millions and millions of people have stopped watching cable TV. Okay? I've talked about this. Everybody's talked about this. The TV ratings, the viewership and all that stuff will never be what it was 20 years ago. Will never be what it was 15 years ago. It won't be what it was 10 years ago. It won't be what it was 5 years ago. TV is dying. It's a dying medium. Okay? Now, you're just going to do well. You're going to do well while you have it. Because that's how your advertisers, it's the best information your advertisers have. That's why they follow it. Not because it's accurate and 100% correct, but because it's just the best information that the TV networks and stuff have. That's it. That's the only reason people even follow this shit. It's because it's the best stuff that TV got. And it's not accurate. And it's continuously changing because every quarter you have hundreds of thousands and millions of people cutting off cable. Now, that could be a conversation we could have about, okay, everybody has fewer viewers because fewer people are watching TV. That would make sense. That would be a good conversation to have. But they're just shifting to, well, we just talk about the demos. What? When did we start doing that? When did we start caring about what the demographics were? Why did we care about that? I don't remember this conversation happening at any other time. But that's neither here nor there. Now, for people who wants to know, well, NXT doesn't do very well in the demographics. I've already said WWE is a PG product, but it's also a very different level of investment. Look at the production of NXT. Look at the production of AEW. NXT is run out of the same building week after week. So they probably have to pay rent or whatever to Full Sail if they don't own the at least a piece of it, which I don't see why they wouldn't. But they have to pay some modest fee to Full Sail to run out of the department. They have cheaper cameramen, because they're mostly trainees, are kind of like students, and this is where everybody is trained. The wrestlers and the cameraman and some of the announcers, even though Morrow is a professional announcer, some of the younger announcers like Tom Phillips came from NXT, stuff like that. It's a training ground. In addition to, again, like I said, the NXT is this weird monster of training ground and professional. It just doesn't have the same level of investment as AEW. So they don't have to make the same amount of money as AEW in order to be successful. AEW needs to make a certain amount of money in order, because of the lavish amount of money that they spend on talent, because they made sure Jericho says this is the most money he's ever made. Which makes sense because this is the only time he's ever been the top star ever. He's never been the tippy top star in a wrestling promotion before. So of course he's going to make more money now than he's ever made before. But it seems kind of weird that people seem to look at NXT and look at AEW as if they're the same. No, AEW needs to make more money, specifically in those demographics, because they have more of an investment in their product. They have to pay for, it has to look a certain way. Okay, it has to look a certain way. You have to pay talent in order to get people to leave and do different things to jump ship and stuff like that. You have to be able to afford that. Okay, so it's completely different. So let's talk about the people involved. Now that we talk a lot about the TV, let's talk about the people involved. I know I said this already with Tony Khan. He's to act more like a professional. Stop acting like a cuck on Twitter. He's just so gotten to that he responds to everything. And maybe that's just him being a younger executive, that he feels like he needs to protect his investment all the time. That's why you have Shield Media, dog. Let your Shield Media do what they do. Voices of Wrestling will protect you. They've been doing it all this time anyway. Meltzer and Alvarez will protect you. They will argue. They will fight the good fight on your behalf. Don't sell. Don't go on TV and talk about how you're gotten to. Cody needs to stop it. Jericho needs to stop it. Kenny Omega needs to stop it. Get the fuck off Twitter. Talking about the different demos and I don't mind that you use that logo or that name and stop. Just stop. Stop it. Behave like executives. Like I said, Vince McMahon posts happy birthday, gets the fuck off Twitter. Stephanie McMahon posts various different things, she gets the fuck off Twitter. Triple H posts little things, get the fuck off Twitter. Bruce Prichard don't even use Twitter. Okay? Unless to promote his goddamn show. So, need to be more like them. Okay, they're doing something right where they don't get in the weeds arguing with idiots who might not know what they're talking about. If you think that these people are so ignorant that they don't know what they're talking about, why are you arguing with them? Why? And then here's the crazy thing about Tony Khan. He didn't just tweet about the demographics and then drop the subject. He continued. He went on and on and on. He had like 8 or 9 tweets about this. Defending himself. What is going on here? If you feel like the ratings are not reported properly, you should say that. You should say like, okay, look, some people care about overall viewership, and while that we value that, even though he kind of said that that they value all viewers, but the 18 to 49 is how they make their money. Okay, he kind of said that, but then he should have just dropped it right there, that the 18 to 49 viewers is how we get paid. Okay, people can respect that, but what people don't respect is all of the tweeting, and it looks like complaining, it looks like excuses, that looks like belly aching because you lost the viewership. And it's not like NXT beat them like a drum either. It's like a measly like 20,000 viewers or something stupid like that. And NXT won 3 weeks in a row after AEW won 8 months in a row or some shit like that. Okay, it's not that big of a deal. People are just having fun, fucking with Tony Khan, and he's selling. He's fucking selling. That's why people do it. Now people are going to do it more. Because you show that you care so much. That it bothers you so much that you have lower viewers. That you're going to go on Twitter and bitch and complain about it. You're not looking at it right, bro. You got to look at the demographics. Who cares? Nobody. I don't remember Meltzer and all these guys talking about TNA's demographics. I don't care about that shit. Nobody cares about this shit. People don't care this much. And people only really talk about the ratings because Meltzer and Alvarez and all these guys continuously talk about it. They try to use it as a barometer of quality. Or people hate the show. That's why they don't watch it. Okay, then why did AEW lose 500,000 fucking viewers one time? Why is it that you say AEW had a great show and it lost in the viewership? Why? You know, look at how he rated Fyter Fest day one. Meltzer gave everything a fucking 4-star rating. Pretty much everything got a 4-star rating. And yet it lost in the viewers. It lost 900,000 viewers in one segment. But the match got like a 4.75 rating or some shit from Meltzer. But he like, that's the crazy thing. It's inconsistency. And it's always coming from people who support AEW. You know, people who watch WWE just watch it. They complain about Raw, they complain about SmackDown, they complain about NXT, they complain all the time. They watch it. But, you know, it's fun to complain. They complain to each other. They complain online. Can't complain to Vince because he doesn't give a shit. Can't complain to Triple H, he doesn't give a shit. Nobody else gives a shit. But then Tony Khan sees that, you know, nobody else gets into the muck and argues with these people. He decides to do it. He's stupid. Okay? But, you know, it's weird to me that, you know, that's what we have in a wrestling promoter these days. That he's just gonna, you know, drag himself and his company by whining on Twitter. So it's weird. But we know Chris Jericho just doesn't want to be embarrassed, right? Like Chris Jericho left WWE. He is the horse dragging the wagon when it comes to AEW. He doesn't want to be embarrassed. He doesn't want the company to go out of business. Because then he has to go back to Vince, much like Kurt Angle did. You know, Kurt Angle was sort of the horse dragging the TNA wagon. You know, and, you know, when it failed, Kurt Angle had to go back. You know, and I'm pretty sure they were happy to have Kurt back. I'm sure Kurt happy to be back. But, you know, Jericho talked a lot of shit while he was gone. You know, he's been talking a lot of shit. And some of it has not been in character. Okay? Some of it has not been Chris Jericho, the character. A lot of it has been, you know, him personally being offended by, you know, NXT not being able to perform on his cruise and him getting bumped from WrestleMania, you know, his title match getting bumped, you know, from the main event to, you know, other parts of the card and various other things that he's complained about on his podcast and on Twitter and stuff like that. But I agree with Jericho on one thing. I don't want AEW to go out of business. Okay? More jobs for more people. That's my view. You know, there needs to be more opportunities for more people. That's the only reason I don't want AEW to go out of business. Because bullshit artists like Chucky T and Sonny Kiss and Luther and fucking Sean fucking Spears, if it means I have to deal with them right now, that I might get somebody dope in 3 years, okay, fine. Okay. I watched AEW Dark just because I can see Brian Pillman Jr. Unfortunately, I didn't know he was wrestling fucking Sean Spears. Okay? I didn't know. They fucked me over on that one. I'll never watch AEW Dark again because they had the fucking baby oil guy on there. Never watch that shit again. And guess what? That's probably the reason why fewer people are watching your show. Because you got fucking Orange Cassidy, even though Orange Cassidy had a good match with Chris Jericho. I won't lie. But he turns off, people don't really want to watch that guy. People don't really want to watch Best Friends. People don't really want to watch Joey Janela. Okay? People don't care. Just because they're big on the indies doesn't mean they're big on TV. But we can't do anything. I want Jericho to be okay. And I think that leaving WWE, he's kind of started having this, he's kind of had a midlife crisis. And I want him to calm down. I want him to maybe stop with so much of the bubbly, to relax. And I want him to kind of sit that Mark owner of his down and explain to him, hey, we don't need to do this. We don't need to go on Twitter bitching and complaining. We need to lock it down. Okay? Lock it down. Don't say anything. Don't say anything. You said what you needed to say. Jericho said, that's the crazy thing about it. Tony Khan has a meltdown the week after Jericho. It's not like they had a meltdown at the same time. You know? which would have made sense because it's been like, well, we were sitting around talking about this and blah 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 blah. It's like Jericho just had this meltdown July the 2nd when the ratings came out, and then July the 9th, here comes Tony Khan doing the same goddamn thing. It's like we got it. We got it. Okay? We understand. Just relax. People are fucking with you because it's fun, not because it's the guy's honest truth. You're the Donald Trump of pro wrestling. You won the demographics. You didn't win the viewership. You need to explain why your viewership is going down, especially to people who have been drilled in their heads for 15 to 20 years that all that matters is how many viewers you're watching, how many viewers is watching. Because, again, you look at what the demographics are. I think AEW is TV 14. WWE is PG. Okay? Look at where your advertisers are going. That's fine. You can have that conversation. But we're talking about viewers. We need to understand and ask the question of where all your viewers went. And if Shield Media won't ask, if Meltzer and Alvarez and Voices of Wrestling and everybody else who's, dangling from Tony Khan's ball sack won't ask the question, I'm going to ask the question. Where the fuck did all their viewers go? Where did they go? Why didn't John Moxley bring in more viewers? Okay, why isn't Kenny Omega the huge draw that Dave Meltzer told me he was? Okay, I was told that Omega drew 40,000 people to the Tokyo Dome. I was seeing half empty buildings when they were running the shows. They weren't making that much money on attendance. I don't get it. Okay, it's not making sense to me. And this is the stuff you open yourself up to because Meltzer smartened up the audience. So now people who are who are smartened up by Meltzer know what questions to ask, and the only way you won't ask that question is if you were in Tony Khan's pocketbook. It's the only way you wouldn't ask these questions. Otherwise, you would intelligently ask, what happened to all your viewers? Why were there pay-per-views where they were sparsely attended? Where did all these? What's your pay-per-view buy rate? Nobody talks about their pay-per-view buy rates because AEW doesn't have to announce their pay-per-view buy rates. Nobody talks about that either. There's so much shit that has been hidden from us because the people that you've trusted for years to talk about it won't talk about it. But, whatever. Like, share, and subscribe. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.